And you're watching Worldwide Sim Racing. We're back again for the 2020 WSR Formula World Championship, and it's been a lot of racing in F1 today on the online virtual GP races. WSR is now getting into the mix with their own Belgium Grand Prix. Of course, I'm joined today by the always very fantastic official Sully. Great to have you in the commentary booth. We're just getting ready, set for action around Spa-Francorchamps, my favorite track on the F1 calendar, and I'm sure it's going to be my favorite race this weekend just by the sheer amazement that this track provides.
I definitely have to agree with you being the greatest track on the calendar. In my opinion, I'm the exact same way. Last year's winner was Flip Flop Fish, who is also racing today, who is the championship leader at the moment. There is 20 corners around this 7.7 kilometer track. It used to be around 14 kilometers until they changed it. The first person to win after the change was actually Ayrton Senna, I believe. There are 22 laps in a 50% race, and we will expect to see a very, very high speed action, especially down the back Kemmel Straight, and especially expect maybe a few crashes into Rouge and Radion.
I'm expecting at least one person is going to bin it coming up towards Radion. Very easy to lose the car if you give it too much throttle at the end. I'd like to note that Sweetcrown 19 is not in the lobby at the moment. So at the moment, not able to contend with Flip Flop Fish. Flip Flop Fish is leading the championship. He did not have a great outing last time and was far down the points. Did make a bit of a recovery drive, but Flip Flop Fish still finishing behind Sweetcrown 19. So Sweetcrown 19 still gaining parts of the championship. But as we get into the closing parts of this championship, it's going to get very down to the wire when it comes to overall if he can come up and beat Flip Flop Fish for the championship. Do you really think he has the time now to be doing it, or do you think it's too late?
I think it might be a bit too late. He's been having a lot of unfortunate luck. I think the only time this entire season that he really got was able to pull back a lead really was the Japanese Grand Prix, which is just gone. As it looks like we're now beginning to ready up, as I see a lot of the drivers beginning to ready up now.
And we have
having a look at. No,
sorry, I was going to say we have 25 seconds now and counting. There's now 20 seconds and counting. Were you going to go over the lineup?
You can if you want. Go ahead.
It's Niklas. Well, we'll go over the lineup as we get into the qualifying, as we have to wait just a second. And here we go. 5 seconds to go. We'll load up into the qualifying session, which will be 18 minutes of nonstop action, unlimited laps for all the drivers to see who can get on pole position. And then we'll have a 50% race around Spa-Francorchamps for round number 8, I believe now we're on.
Having a look at the Drivers' Championship, there's a 40-point gap at the moment between Flip Flop Fish and Sweetcrown 19, when there's only a 36-point gap between Sweetcrown 19 and the McLaren driver of De Villiers in fourth. The Constructors' Championship is now, there's a 21-point gap. No, sorry. 1 second, let me just do the maths. 31-point gap from first to second, 200 to 159, and then back to 128 where you'll find McLaren, and then 126 with Williams Racing. I do believe the favourite today is definitely, I have to admit, I have to go with the man who's won 2 of the last 3 Grand Prix, Diego Inda Williams, if he is here today, which he is.
You didn't mention who's in the lead in the Constructors, you just said points.
The lead of the Constructors is currently Merck with Ferrari directly behind them, with McLaren in third, Williams in fourth, and Red Bull in fifth.
As we get ready, we are sunny skies right now in Belgium as they're getting ready, and we're just going to see, and it looks like Flip Flop Fish, of course, one of the usual starters, is going to get ready right away as we see his car coming off the jacks. And we're going to see if anybody gets ahead of him first, but I'm going to ride on board of him, and there is somebody. Looks like one of the Red Bull cars might get out before him, and let's see who that is. And it is a McLaren. It's Nicholas who gets out, and then Mitch 791. I'm going to ride on board of him. He'll be the first person to be setting a outlap around Spa-Francorchamps. He's coming down one of these start-finish straights around Spa-Francorchamps. Now coming up to the top of Erouge and then to Radion, and keeping it slow. Don't want to be having any mistakes. Now coming on the Camel Straight. DRS zone around here. There is a DRS zone also on the start-finish line. Coming towards the end of the Camel Straight, a nice little chicane. Very nice flowing high-speed chicane if you can get it right. And now coming down into the hills, into the forest.
One of the most tricky parts of the track. Very easy to either. If you hit a few of the curves, especially the one that he's going to be coming up to now in a few seconds, up on the left-hander of turn 12 at Pouan, if you touch that curve, you could be going into a wall.
You could spin very easily, that's for sure. It's very reminiscent of the end of Bahrain. There's one of the curbs coming up on the hills. If you hit that curve, it's almost an instant spin. It's very reminiscent of that. One of my favorite tracks on F1 2019, of course, in Formula 1, but I absolutely stink at it.
Turn 13 in Bahrain. The wonderful spoon curve in the third sector. Well, the second and third sector, really.
Now coming up towards the end of the track, coming up towards what is not called the bus stop chicane, but I'm going to call it that anyway, as that's what I'm used to. As he will start his first lap around Belgium. Here we go. DRS will be activated, coming across the start-finish line, and Mitch 791 will be the first person in the McLaren to be setting a lap as he comes into turn 1. A nice little dip into the first turn, and then coming down towards Erouge. And his McLaren teammate Nathan de Villers just peering out of the pit lane. Coming up Erouge, cutting it just a little bit now towards Radion, looking very nice indeed. Coming up towards the Camel Straight, DRS activated, and you're going to reach well over 200 miles per hour coming down the Camel Straight. Let's see what Mitch 791 can do in his McLaren. Now going through the chicane, looking very tidy indeed. Maybe just a little bit of a pace setter lap right now. He doesn't want to push it too hard and runs up on the grass a little bit there. Now coming into this turn, very easy to run wide and keeping it just on the line. Absolutely perfect. Keeping it out of the curb there that can easily spin the car. Now coming on the exit, on the curb a little bit now. This is going to be very tricky, making sure not to clip the curb on the entry. And just about touches it, but keeps it steady. So very nicely done by the McLaren. Now coming towards the end of Sector 2, we're going to see how he does here. I'm going to turn on the lap data and track map, and just going to have the mini-map right now for the qualifying times at the moment. Now coming towards the end of Sector 2, it is a purple, of course, Sector 2, as he is going to be the first driver setting times. We're going to see what this is going to be. It looks pretty tidy
purple
right now.
Flip-flop.
Purple for Flip-Flop Fish, who is also setting a time behind him, and it looks like he just passed the McLaren of Nathan de Villiers behind, and now here comes Mitch 791, ending his lap, coming through the bus stop chicane, coming around that final turn. DRS will be activated, and then it's a short line run to the finish line, and it's going to be a 1:44.046, and Flip-Flop Fish, probably just with a lookout lap, does not set a lap time, a 1:44.046 at the moment for pole position. Nathan de Villers is now starting his time in the McLaren.
We actually have two new drivers on the grid, Chukale 11 and LSF1 Baker, who are both in the race.
Fenrique sets pole position. It's a 1:43.7, so about 3/10 quicker. And Diego goes even faster, 7/10 faster than Fenrique. That's a proper fast time by that driver. And
De Villiers has got a lot of slipstream off his teammate Mitch up on the Camel Straight there. Very interesting to see that.
Scar Logan LPC goes fifth fastest. You see me flying jumps in 1:44.8. I believe Scar Logan setting definitely a slower time than most of the drivers. As you said, Nathan de Villers getting major slipstream from his teammate. Goes a little wide out of the turn, but it keeps it okay so far. Nathan de Villers, of course, a Formula 4 driver in real life, hoping to get a good result in Belgium.
Yellow flag at Erouge and Radion, I believe that's on the Mercedes. I think that might have been.
Might have been Usimi.
Yeah, it was.
It had to be Usimi flying, but Usimi flying has set his lap already, so he is good to go at the moment. It is a purple second sector for Nathan de Villers coming out, so looking good right now, coming in through the third sector.
Diego is currently quickest, though.
Diego with a 143.0, but you have to think with that slipstream that Nathan de Villers got, he might be able to edge out Diego. Let's see, coming through the bus stop chicane. Oh, and he just invalidates on the final chicane turn. Yeah. That was very odd. A very odd mistake by Nathan de Villers, and it's a 143.6, so it wouldn't have been pole position, but it would have been second fastest. But a very odd mistake by Nathan de Villers, cutting a huge amount of the chicane.
Pastor set a yellow flag, actually, in the middle sector. I think he was just letting the Mercedes go. I believe that is also, once again, Usimi flying.
Jonathan Cox
is on an in-lap at the moment.
Jonathan Cox is coming out of the pits now in the Haas. Jonathan Cox, one of our our qualifying guys, but has not been able to put it together in races. So hopefully Jonathan Cox can put together a good qualifying and possibly a good race as well.
Interesting. The Renault of Logan is going again in 6th position. It looks like he's after putting in a fair amount of fuel to do a few laps on those hard compound tires evaluation laps.
He definitely has the ERS to do it.
Yellow flag in sector 3. Usimi flying again. I think he's out of fuel. Yes, he is.
And he's going very, very slowly.
When he's second now.
Pastor is now is 7th fastest right now behind his teammate. So obviously not a very good lap.
Flip-Flop is about to begin his flying lap in qualifying, his first one of the session. Let's see what he's able to do. Coming down the start-finish straight now, the first DRS zone of 2 into the very, very tricky first corner. We could see a lot of instance there in the race into La Source. Comes up to turn 2. It's only a minor kink, but it's still a turn nonetheless. And then into Rouge and Radion, which is 3, 4, and 5. Careful, be very careful here, as it's very easy to spin the car, then activate DRS and comes down to Kemmel Straight to come into Le Com of 7, 8, and 9. Hitting very high top speeds of about 300 plus kilometers per hour, goes purple in the first sector, hits the chicane very nicely, and will exit coming down towards 10 and 11 at Bruxelles, or Brussels. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. It's in French. Well, Belgium. It's in the we're in the Ardennes forest, in case you're curious, as he now comes down into probably the trickiest corner for me anyway on the track, which is definitely Pouan of turn 12. Very long left-hander. One of the McLarens going slow in the first sector, as he now comes down towards turn 13 and 14. 14 being Campos, and then into turn 15, and then into turn 16, where he'll begin the second sector. He doesn't go purple in the second sector though, as he continues to go through into Blanchimont now, and then into turn 18 as he approaches the bus stop chicane, where the DRS detection point is actually just before the 150 meter braking board, as he hits the curb very nicely, tries not to ride too much on, doesn't want to invalidate. We will complete the lap, activate DRS, and go second with only 2/10 off Diego.
Very good. And it looked like somebody went faster. It looked like Fenrique, I believe, might have... No, Tapastor. Tapastor is 4th fastest right now, as Niklas is also 5th fastest at the moment. Niklas definitely looking for some better performances. He has had a few incidents, but I think that he is in a good state of mind, and hopefully will be able to set a good race today in Belgium. He's 5th fastest at the moment in the Red Bull, so not a bad position.
Go for a fast lap.
Diego coming across the line just about now, and the DRS flap is open, coming in the turn 1 in the Williams, trying to bring some glory back to that Rocket Williams racing car. I wish it was the one that looked like this year, but it's this last year's car, which is a hideous car. Coming down towards Air Rouge to the top of Radion. Let's see how he does through here. Looked a little bit squirmy out of there, actually. Didn't look super smooth. Now coming down the Camel Straight, DRS is activated from the back, as we see that terrible purple screen, that screen combination with the steering wheel. Why Williams won't put the screen on the steering wheel will boggle my mind forever. As we come now down into Sector 2, purple Sector 1, as Official Sully had said, as Let's see how he can do, and runs up on the grass a little bit there, coming up on the curb now. And now let's see how he handles this turn. We're going to ride on board of him. How close does he get? And just on the limit, as these drivers tend to be on the limit. Diego, one of our surprise talents in WSR, is absolutely putting on a show right now. And they have to do it. The European tier, if you didn't get to watch it yesterday, was absolutely fantastic. One of the best races I've seen in WSR, purple and the again. Driving was fantastic. Diego goes purple again, setting a blistering lap right now in the Ardennes Forest in Belgium for Spa-Francorchamps, one of the greatest tracks in Formula One history. Diego looking to put it on pole position. Now coming up towards the bus stop chicane. Let's see how he hits it here, hoping not to run up onto the curb too much like Nathan de Villers did, and he's just about perfect on the money right there. Coming out of the exit, very good. Brakes glowing hot. Let's see what Diego's time is going to be. It's going to be even faster. Again. It's a 1:42.8, a blistering time by the Williams, and Flip-Flop Fish is now 4/10 off of pole position. I believe one of the McLarens is coming across the line to start a lap, and it is Mitch 791, who is fourth fastest at the moment.
Beginning a lap.
And there's
a medium compound.
We're going to ride on board of Baker. I'm going to see where he is at the bottom of the track right now, not yet setting a time. He's in the Alfa Romeo right now as he's coming up there. Not very good through Eau Rouge. Jonathan Cox gives him... oh, my goodness, that was almost a disaster. Jonathan Cox he swerved almost in the way of Baker, and hopefully Baker didn't lose too much time. I was going to say he would have gained a little bit of slipstream, but that might have actually compromised him a little bit. Now coming through Sector 2. Of course, Sector 1 not fastest, and I think that might have to do with the incident with Jonathan Cox. And big lockup into the turn there, making sure to slow up as much as possible. You don't want to go too wide, especially out of the exit. Again, you can easily spin the car if you run it up on the green portion after the curbing. Now, let's see how it goes through this turn. Again, there's a McLaren right there he has to get out of the way of, and he runs up on the curb a little bit there. Not super on the line. Baker, not super on the racing line. I think he's aborted the lap at this point, actually. Yes, he has. He has aborted the lap. And not yet set a time with 5 minutes to go in qualifying. He might have time to pit and come out immediately, but it would have to be right now as somebody... It's Nathan de Villers, who's third fastest right now. He just set a time. It's a 1:43.3. Very fast by de Villers. And Fenrique is fourth fastest right now, and he is coming in a lap right now.
Fast lap.
Let's see what the Sector 2 time is going to be for him as he's coming up towards the end of it now through this little final chicane. And then it's a right-hand turn that ends Sector 2. Let's see what the time is going to be for him if he can improve. Diego back out again, wants to set another time, thinks he can go faster, but Fenrique... Diego's out, so he must have retired in the pit lane.
Looks like it, yeah. I think he's very happy with that lap, and rightfully so. I think it's a very, very quick lap. I'm now on board with Fenrique as he comes through the bus stop chicane, through the last two corners to see what type of lap time. No, he goes into the pits.
And Flip-Flop Fish letting by looked like to Pastor in the Renault. I'd also like to mention Jonathan Cox giving his apologies to Baker on the Camel Straight, realizing that there was a bit of an issue there. As Flip-Flop Fish is letting as many drivers go as he can. There is a McLaren behind him. I do believe it is David de Villiers, who has set a time already. This will be Flip-Flop Fish's final time, as it is almost a 2-minute lap around here. So Flip-Flop Fish of one final time, possibly to get on pole position. He'll slowly go through the bus stop chicane. Almost all the drivers ahead of him have gone into the pits. I do believe the Renault has stayed out and will be setting another lap, or it is a Haas. No, it is a Renault. As here comes Flip-Flop Fish, DRS activated, coming into turn 1. Let's see how he keeps it here, and very nice and tight through there. Coming out of the exit, very good. Now there is a car in front of him, and I don't know who that is. I believe it is a Mercedes, and as you see me flying his teammate now, if this has been timed perfect, you see me flying will give him a little bit of slipstream, and yep, I do believe this might have been a little bit of a decision by the Mercedes team, and that gave him Flip-Flop Fish a little bit of slipstream, and he is fastest in the first sector, and that is a very good state of affairs for the Mercedes drivers. You see me flying, playing the teammate part perfectly, and it was a almost near perfect cut for Flip-Flop Fish on that little turn right there. I'm actually surprised he didn't get invalidated, but Flip-Flop Fish, fastest in the first sector, obviously his teammate helping him out there. Diego, unfortunately, does not have a teammate in the Williams car to help him out, so that is a bit of a disadvantage. Now coming through here is a yellow flag. It looks like one of the Renaults is going very slowly. It's a Pastor right there, and Pastor has front wing damage, so he's going to let by Flip-Flop Fish, I presume. How faster does Flip-Flop Fish go right now? He's in Sector 2. He's got all the front wing as he can, all the downforce. Let's see what that Sector 2 time is going to be, and it's not fastest in the second sector, but it is 4/10 down on his time. This is going to be majorly close for pole position. Flip-Flop Fish on the charge right now in the Mercedes, looking to get on pole position, looking to get ahead of Diego. It was not a good time in Japan. Coming up towards the bus stop chicane, will it be a good time in Belgium? Coming through the bus stop chicane, and right on the money. Niklas is second fastest at the moment, a 1:43.0. He's ahead of Flip-Flop Fish, but for how much longer? And it is Flip-Flop Fish who goes on pole by hundredths of a second. And Diego must be kicking himself right now for retiring because he's in second fastest on the grid. I know it was a quick time, but it is Flip-Flop Fish who's on pole position, and a very, very good lap from him.
A lot of drivers on outlaps.
I would like to mention, You See Me Flying did get around enough for another lap, and his Flip-Flop Fish ahead of him. And look at this. Teammates perfection right now as Flip-Flop Fish is he going to give him his teammate the same slipstream? And yes, he will.
Yes, he
and
is.
You See Me Flying and Flip-Flop Fish are working in tune right now as You See Me Flying looking to set another lap, and he is 2/10 down on his current time. Flip-Flop Fish giving him slipstream. You See Me Flying right now is only in the top 10, just in 10th position. Coming through now, Sector 2. You See Me Flying,
very
looking
slow
to improve. Not very good through there. He wasn't on the line. I think he tried to slow up the car, not to run up on the green part of the curve after the curve.
At the no-name corner of 11. Into Puan now. Tries to take it as quick as possible. Make sure not to hit the curb. Nearly does, but it keeps it steady. Now as he comes into turn 13 and 14, 14 being Campus, and then into turn 15 of Stavelot, as he has a bit of a tank slapper. As he now comes to the second sector split, it definitely won't be quickest. No, but he's up by 2.25 tenths.
But that's not fast enough to get ahead of Chucklow, who's in 10th position now. He actually jumped You See Me Flying. You See Me Flying only in 11th. The slipstream didn't help him too much.
Blanchimont. Into turn 19 and 20 of the bus stop chicane. Tries to hit it as quickly as possible. Needs to gain a lot of time in this sector. I don't think he's done enough though.
Oh, and a big tank slapper, and he spun, and it's a crash at the very end. He didn't retire, but You See Me Flying only 11th fastest, and a bad state of affairs out of the exit. I would like to mention Nathan de Villers was able to set another time now as he's in Sector 2 right now. I don't know what the Sector 1 split was. And it's Fenrique who's also trying to set a time. Mitch 791 coming across the line, only 6th fastest, not able to improve. Fenrique looks to be, let's see what the Sector 2 time Fenrique is going to be. He is 5th fastest at the moment, a little wide out of the exit there. And he is fastest in the second sector. Fenrique, super fast in the second sector. And it's looking good right now for Fenrique. Though, to be fair, he is still quite a ways off of pole position. We'll have to see how he does here. Fenrique blistering right now in the Red Bull, looking to possibly make it into the second row of the grid. On the third row of the grid at the moment. Let's see.
Lock up as well.
Fenrique now coming around that final turn. Let's see what the time's going to be coming into the 1:43, and it is going to be the second row of the grid next to his teammate, Niklas. So very good for Fenrique.
De Villiers could split them.
Here comes De Villiers. What time is it going to be? It's going to be 5th fastest. And to pass somebody spun, it's Mitch 791, and Chuck actually gets in the 6th fastest, splits the McLarens. Mitch 791 is stopped on track, and it is Flip-Flop Fish.
Did get 11th.
It is Flip-Flop Fish, but he got jumped by Chuck at the end, and he was in the top 10, and now is in 11th, so not exactly the best time for him. Darkva,
but free
Gurman, that is true. Darkva, Gurman, and Baker did not get the set times. Gurman will start ahead of Darkva, and Baker will be at the bottom of the track, did not set a time, and retired. Or did he crash?
For You See Me Flying, I'd actually rather to be in in 11th, then 10th, as it tends to be a better place to be on the grid, just to have that free choice of tire.
But it is a long track, and if you don't get good jumps on the start of the line, it's going to be a very hard race for him, as he's going to be, as it's hard to gain time with so much track.
It's also more or less a guaranteed one stop.
As there are your top 5 drivers, as Flip Flop Fish on pole position, Diego 11/100ths of a second. Behind him, Nicolas with a great qualifying time in 3rd, Fenrique in 4th, and Nathan de Villiers in a McLaren in the top 5. Consistent from Nathan de Villiers as it usually is, as we are now going to get started, getting ready for the race. It will be our formation lap, and then the 5 red lights, and we'll get ready in Belgium.
"22 laps of non-stop action." Well, unless it's a safety car.
22 laps. It is, of course, again, one of the longer laps on the F1 calendar, one of the longest tracks on the calendar. It is the longest track on the calendar, one of the longest laps on the calendar. And because of that...
It's the second longest lap, I believe, after Singapore, if I'm not mistaken.
And because of that, it is going to be a very long race, even with 22 laps only, which is, of course, one of the lowest on the calendar. I do actually believe Singapore has more laps.
Lowest. Yes, it does have more laps, but it's a longer lap time
because it's solar corners.
Yeah, I think the laps are determined by the amount of distance and not the lap time itself. This is the shortest amount of laps, but it's the longest lap on track, when Singapore has the longest lap time.
And so let's go over the starting lineup for your 2020 Belgium Grand Prix. Flip Flop Fish is on pole position ahead of Diego. Nicolas in 3rd position in the Red Bull ahead of his teammate Fenrique. Nathan de Villiers is in 5th position in the McLaren, followed by Chuck in the Racing Point. Mitch 791 in the McLaren, followed by Tapaster in the Renault. Scar Logan and his teammate is in 9th position. Jonathan Cox in the Haas in 10th, and You See Me Flying, the teammate of the Mercedes driver currently leading the championship, in 11th. Gurman in the Ferrari in 12th position, the only Ferrari on the grid. Sweet Crown 19 not in this race, will not score championship points. Team GD Darkva is in 13th position. LSF1 Baker is in the Alfa Romeo in 14th. And we are just getting ready. They're only through the first sector. That's how just quick I can go through the all the drivers, and yet we still haven't finished the time. Official Soli, what's the prediction? Who do you think has the best chance of winning here? Diego obviously with momentum, but Flip Flop Fish setting a blistering time. Can he again put it together for another race win in WSR?
Diego's won his first 2 races that he competed in, which were 2 of the last 3 races, one of which he didn't actually attend. I believe that race was won by Flip Flop Fish. So I do believe it's going to be a 2-horse race tonight, but I think I think there could be a more interesting fight today between 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. I think that those 4 could be on for all types of chaos to try and snatch the 3rd spot.
Nicolas, I want to say Nicolas having a very good qualifying position right now, and he's shown some good race pace before and shown some very good racecraft. He's just had a few rough patches, but he was very good in Bahrain. I think we could see, if he was good at Bahrain, Belgium's not super different in terms of straight lines and everything. I think Nicolas might have a good race. His teammate Fenrique is behind him, though, and Fenrique is definitely a very solid driver. So the 2 Red Bulls are going to be behind Diego and Flip Flop Fish, and it'll be very interesting to see how they do. As all the drivers are lining up on their grid positions, there's Flip Flop Fish edging on pole position. Diego slots in there. There's Nicolas and Fenrique, and we are just getting ready for the 5 red lights to come on, as here comes Baker just rolling into his final grid position. As here we go, getting ready for the lights to come on. And there's a yellow flag in Sector 3 as it's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and in Belgium, it is go! It's go! And Flip-Flop Fish gets a good start and slots ahead of Diego. Diego got a terrible start off the line. Nicholas into turn 1 and gets ahead of Diego. Nicholas into second position. Following now, Flip-Flop Fish. Diego will be in the slipstream, though, possibly to make a move. And now a turn up 8 overtake on Nathan de Villers by Fenrique up Radion. And that's an outrageous move, but then Fenrique goes wide. And now coming up the camo straight into slipstream, here comes Nicholas in the Red Bull. Chasing down the Mercedes. Diego will try to go on the inside, the outside, and then a switchback. Nicholas challenging for the position, then goes too wide, and Diego will retake third position. And it's Nicholas back in third. Fenrique behind him, his teammate, and then it's Nathan de Villers in fifth position, and battling that with Chuck and Chuck, and he almost spins. He goes off the track, and he will drop down positions. He gets back on track, and now he's in eighth, and there's wing damage. He actually locked, and he then banged his front wing. Here comes Scar Logan, LPC on the inside, and he'll overtake him. And Chuck has had major wing damage, and he might have to make a pit stop as he is having major issues right now with the car. And Gurman now trying to overtake him as well, dropping all the way down to 11th. A terrible, terrible start for him.
I have to admit, the surprise, I think, was that Nick and Flip Flop were just able to overtake Diego with such ease, and then Nick only had to give it up after he went wide through the chicane at the end of the Kemmel straight.
Oh, big tank slap for Nicholas out of the line, and now Fenrique might jump his teammate. Fenrique does pass his teammate at the moment. They're side by side coming in the turn 1. Nicholas, though, braking later, but Fenrique makes the switch back and will get ahead of his teammate just about. They're side by side, and now they're ghosting, actually. Ghosting is on at the moment. That was a mistake. That's not supposed to be on. Fenrique, oh, there's a spin! I think Nicholas, and there's a crash, and Nicholas is out of the race! Nicholas tagged.
Big surprise.
Big crash, and it's a safety car deployed at the end of Radion coming up towards Eau Rouge, and Nicholas is out. He tagged Fenrique. I think Fenrique might have pulled ahead of Nicholas, but I don't think he cleared him.
There was a lot of lag.
There was lag, and there was ghosting. There was also ghosting between the drivers, but Nicholas is out of the race, and it's a safety car deployed. You See Me Flying is at the bottom of the track right now. He must have had issues too, but this will help him out, of course. And he puts fresh hards, so he will look to go long in this race.
Is he going to try and do a madness and try and
do a one-stop?
22 laps?
Yeah. I don't know. It might be possible. I mean, it's not. That's the thing. It's not a lot of laps, and I don't know if tire deg's
but it's a very long lap.
But it's not super high tire deg.
No, it isn't. So that's the question. But they will be very slow at the end of this race. But he will be able to catch up with the rest of the field, and this safety car is going to last at least 2 laps.
Terrible. Very, very serious crash there for Nicholas and with Fenrique. Now, I didn't see what happened with Fenrique. I thought what I thought was Fenrique thought he had cleared Nicholas, but hadn't actually cleared him. And when he cut across him, that caused Nicholas to spin. And Nicholas is unfortunately the person who loses out and has crashed, and he's out of the race.
The safety car.
And Diego into the pits. Diego pits.
Hards?
This is very interesting. Will he go hards too? There's a few drivers into the pits. Darkva into the pits, and Fenrique into the pits as well. I don't think so.
Is he changing his front wing? Keep an eye on the mechanics.
We're gonna see. I'm looking right now, and no. And his hard tires. It's hard. No, mediums. I don't know. Wait, no, it is the hards. Hards going on, and Diego.
Mediums for Mitch and Fenrique though.
5-second penalty collision between Flip-Flop Fish and Nathan de Villers under safety car conditions. Flip-Flop Fish has the soft compound tire on now. Diego.
Do you think coming into the pits was the correct protocol?
I don't know. I think it's too early. I think it's too early personally. I don't, and again, it's a question. Can you make the hards last all race long? We still don't know that. I mean, We're going to assume
I haven't
possibly.
necessarily tried it personally.
We haven't tried it,
Well,
and here's the thing. I just think that because I'm not a fan of going with these one-stops and I think Nathan DeVillers says, yep, Villers has wing damage. You'll have to make a pit stop after this lap. But it's always, I'm not a huge fan of these one-stops because the tires are so dead at the end of the race that you're so slow, and the car behind you, who might be on mediums or softs, will have a much easier time.
Baker's after going from 14th to 5th, but he hasn't made a pit stop though. Now I don't understand why Federici and Mitchell put on the mediums. I don't think that's possible. So
that's a definite two-stop for Fen. That's not going to go till the end.
No, that's suicidal in my opinion. Well,
that's a race ruined. Now it was almost already a race ruined. I thought Fenrique might have the crash, but it was of course Nicholas who did crash. And again, unfortunate for Nicholas. Looked to be having a good race. He looked on point. He got ahead of Diego into turn 1. He gave it up after going wide, but was still much in the fight. But having a battle with his teammate and Nicholas crashing. Very unfortunate, Fenrique, and that will definitely have to be investigated after the race as to see what exactly happened. But we're under safety car conditions right now. It's lap number 3 right now. All the drivers trying to keep their tires as hot as possible. But it is going to be rather difficult under the safety car. It usually tends to go too slow. It still goes slow in real life, and it's going slow here at Flip-Flop Fish.
De Villiers into the pits.
De Villers pits. Now, well, what's he going to do? Again, I'm not. Also, I'm not. I don't know if this is necessarily a good idea.
He has front wing damage, so he has to.
That is true. Now, what tire will he put on, though?
He is going to be held for 5 seconds, though. We have to remember that. He's putting on mediums, and he's going to be held for 5 seconds.
And
5-second time penalty. A severe
You See Me Flying
is out.
Did he take out You See Me Flying under a safety car?
You See Me Flying still moving on track. I think
no. Terminal.
He's
retired. He's retired. But why? What happened there?
I think we'll see on the exit of De Villiers, on the pit exit, hopefully.
Right there,
yeah,
his car's on track, and it's disappeared since. But You See Me Flying. What has happened with You See Me Flying? He had a collision, and now he's out of the race. So drama.
I'm gonna have a bit of an investigation here under the safety car and bring up You See Me Flying stream. Bring it back a few seconds, see what happened.
That's major issues for him. So under safety car, You See Me Flying is out of this race. No idea what happened. He lost his front wing, and we didn't see him leave. He's not out of the. He didn't leave the lobby, and I didn't, unless he did retire.
No, he is watching the race. I can't confirm it though.
So You See Me Flying, having an issue of some kind. He must have retired. If you can check back and see exactly what happened there. He did lose his front wing. Still under safety car conditions. At least 2 laps under safety car. On lap number 4 right now. In the Belgium Grand Prix, Flip-Flop Fish is leading to Pastor, actually, in the Renault. And it's Scar Logan behind him. So the 2 Renaults, 2nd and 3rd right now. Baker is all the way up in 4th. After not having a qualifying time. So good for him as well. Gurman in 5th. So almost a flip of the positions on the grid almost right now. Safety car will come in this lap. So Flip-Flop Fish will be the pace setter for the moment. There is a speed limiter, but he is the pace setter, and he is almost essentially the safety car, as the safety car will speed up and go into the pit lane. And Flip-Flop Fish, we do tend to know, loves to bunch up the grid. He loves to start late. So we'll see what he can do here. The 2 Renaults will be looking.
Severe collision, Gurnman with Diego.
Does Diego have damage? I don't see anything, so it must have been a little tap. But under safety car, anything is a severe under safety car.
Yeah, anything severe. Even extending track limits is severe under safety car.
And here we go. Flip-Flop Fish is speeding up now and will start the race up again, coming through the bus stop chicane. Here we go, and there is a Haas, I believe, on the side of the track somewhere, and I don't know who that was. It looked like there was sorry, that was the safety car now. Coming into turn 1, it's the same color as the Haas, which is confusing. As here comes the Pastor now, a little bit behind his Flip-Flop Fish.
Gap.
And I want to mention Baker right now, who was very close to Scar Logan LPC, coming up Radion, and
No
Scar
DRS
Logan
though.
had a terrible run through there, and Scar Logan
3-second time
LPC got
penalty,
a 3-second
multiple
time penalty. He actually cut the corner, and there's damage, I think, for, there's damage on the front wing for Scar Logan LPC. He's got front wing damage. He's down in fourth right now. Gurman is going to try to overtake him as well. He's getting compromised a little bit, and there's a tap there. Gurman actually hit the back. And now Diego is looking to make a move. He looks on the inside. Darkva is looking around the outside right now of him. And Fenrique and Darkva are going side by side. Fenrique, and look at that on the inside. That was a very nice move by Darkva. Fenrique will try to challenge around the outside. There's a crash from the back. Chuck and Nathan DeVillers have had an incident. And Fenrique and Darkva get away quick. There's a virtual safety car now as there was a crash from the back. Big wing damage for Nathan DeVillers and Chuck. Now, there was contact there. I think they're going side by side, and it didn't work out too well.
Biggest loser under the safety car, I think, has to be the Renault of
Scar Logan. Scar Logan did not get a good start, and he has front wing damage. Now, he might go into the pits. It's very hard to front wing damage around this track of so many high speed.
The biggest gainer, though, I have to say, has to be 100% either Baker or Flip Flop after extending such a gap. Diego still trying to make his way through traffic, which is very difficult to do. Now, if it stays under VSC while people come into the pits, it won't be as bad. The time in the pits will be cut a bit. 5-second time penalty for Jonathan Coxford.
As we get racing under green conditions again, Tapastra with a bad run again. Here comes Baker. Baker is actually far back from Tapastra as well. Gurman also far back. So all the drivers in the top four are separated by a small margin. Diego, though, is in the slipstream right now of Gurman. Coming up Eau Rouge towards the top of Radion. Fenrique with a 3-second time. Oh, there's a crash! There's a spin by Gurman, and he has crashed. And the front wing has come off the car. He is okay right now, though. Is there a car coming behind him? And no, there is a big separation of cars right now. 21 seconds behind. Tapastra gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. No safety car. Well, it wasn't a retirement from Gurman. He almost crashed, but Gurman spun out of Radion, and that was almost a major disaster. But the Ferrari right now with front wing damage, and drivers are not able to keep it on track right now, as we've had major spin-offs all around.
Big gaps forming in the top four, especially a second between all drivers in the top four, nearly a second down to fifth as well. The closest battle on track at the moment is Mitch and Fenrique. As Mitch looks like he's just trying to gain on Fenrique as they come into the second sector split now of Camp, as they now come into Stavelot. As they come through turn 16, which is just upcoming now, hits the second sector split, as now they'll be coming through Curva Paul Freire and into Blanchimont of turn 17, which is where we are now, as he comes into turn 18, which is the
Fenrique is having bad runs and big slipstream right now for Mitch. Now Fenrique might give him a lane, and he just closes the door on the bus stop. And let's see here.
Flip-flop goes quickest.
Flip-flop quickest on track. Mitch 791 chasing down Fenrique.
Diego goes quickest.
Diego now quickest on track. And DRS is enabled. So coming up towards the Camel Straight, Fenrique and Mitch 791 will
Mitch gets a bit of
be in DRS detection zone. There is about 0.5 of a second, but even down the Camel Straight, slipstream is very tough. Gurman into the pits. He had front wing damage, so he'll definitely be in the pits. Now coming down the Camel Straight. Scar Logan LPC will jump him in the pit lane. And here comes Mitch 791, a little bit too far back, as you said. A big tank slapper out of the turn, and he was not able to get close enough for an overtake. And they'll try the battle again as Fenrique is chasing down Fenrique. And Fenrique with a terrible run. They might go on the inside there, but it's a little bit too risky. And no! Side by side, Fenrique, a bad run through there, and then Fenrique closes the door and finally gets ahead of him again.
Lag on his end.
I'm not getting lag on my end, but here comes Mitch 791 passing, but Fenrique looks a little slow. There's front wing damage. That's why Fenrique, he's got an end plate gone on the car. So the lag of some sort. Was there contact, though, because Mitch went on the inside. That's the same place where the end plate is gone. Was there contact?
I think he just clipped the wall, honestly.
Where would he clip the wall? I didn't see him clip the wall anywhere.
Well, I wasn't necessarily watching, but that seems like the most logical explanation, because I didn't see any contact between Mitch and Fenrique.
Diego right now is chasing down Baker. Baker with a good restart on the safety car is now having to contend with Diego, who might go on the inside on the bus stop, but no. Baker closing the door on him. But now Baker almost got to chicane there. Flip-flop goes quickest again. Diego getting a much better exit, and now Baker might just have to sit and watch. Going into turn 1, who will break latest? Baker's still looking there, and Diego leaves there, and Gurman is retired as he had a crash in the second sector.
On track.
On track retirement.
I'm watching him coming through Stavelot at the moment. I can see that. I can confirm that is an on-track retirement.
So that will have to be looked at after the race. And Gurman has left the session, so he just wasn't happy with the race at the moment.
John and Cox is now after going quickest with a 1:47.518 in the halves, who is down in 10th position to go. Fenrique gets another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's now down in 7th.
Oh my goodness, Baker with a huge lockup, and Team DD Darkva is behind him and is going to try to capitalize. And ooh, dirty air for Darkva as he almost spun the car there, and that was not very good indeed. Baker will regain a lot of that time that he had on Darkva because of that big tank slapper. Mitch 791 is actually behind Darkva right now. The Toro Rosso and the McLaren battling on the inside. Mitch 791 on Darkva, but it doesn't happen. And Tapastor has crashed, and he has crashed on the middle of the track. Now, this might be a safety car, and it's a virtual safety car, as they do not pull the full one out. Lap 8
I'm
of 22.
watching his teammate at the moment to see exactly what happened. I didn't get a good view of him myself,
I think he just spun out of the exit. Might have clipped the curb, or he ran too wide, but his actually car is
most likely.
As there's his car coming up
Flip
just
Flop,
about now, and it does
I think
disappear.
Flip-Flop will pit this lap.
I think that would be, and yes, he does. He does go into the pits. He's coming in now. Diego will retake the lead of the race, though, on the hards.
Actually, I say even say mediums. I'd say mediums. Yeah, medium tires for Flip-Flop.
DRS enabled. So, oh no, this has been a terrible pit stop because all green flag conditions under the safety car right now for Flip-Flop Fish. That virtual safety car did not last very long. So this has not been a very good...
He will keep 5th.
He will keep 5th, but it's still not a good...
On fresh mediums.
It's not a good pit stop, though, because all the cars went back to racing speed, and that means he's going to have a big gap to Fenrique.
7.4.
That it's paused right now. Oh, it is no. So it is about 7 seconds, but he is on the mediums. Fenrique is on the mediums as well, but they are older. And Tapastor has left the session, of course, out of the race.
The interval to leader from Flip-Flop Fish at the moment is about 12.7 seconds to leader.
All the drivers right now will score points, as we have 4 drivers retired out of the race. It's lap 9 right now, so we're just getting into the double digits in laps right now. And
the question really is, will Mitch and Fenrique pit again?
I have to assume not. I have to think this is a long-haul strategy. It would be... And Baker also, I would like to mention, is on the hard, so both of them, all 3 of them.
He hasn't pit yet.
So he started on the hard, so he might actually be
He has to pit again.
He might actually have a bad... This might be bad for Baker. Baker might have to just, might as well pit now and save himself, because this has not been a good strategy then, and that's the case.
No, actually, I think I'd rather be on the softs at the very, very end.
But he's just, but it's not with the gaps and the lap at the moment. It's just not a very good place for Baker to be right now, still sitting on there with no pit stop.
I think I'd still prefer to have the, he'll still come out ahead, like right behind Darkva. Like, it'll be very close between him and Darkva, I believe. I believe it's about an 18-second pit stop, isn't it?
Mitch 791. Well, Mitch is on the mediums, so he will. I think he'll go till the end on the mediums.
That'd be close, though.
Will be close.
He did put them on lap 3.
I think Baker got a bad run out of Radion. Yes, he did. Slipstream is big in effect right now. DRS also open for Mitch 791, going alongside him on the Camel Straight on the inside, and it's an easy overtake just about for Mitch, as Baker will try to follow him. As Baker will try to follow him, but he's on the hard tires, and it's used hard, so it's going to be very, very tricky to try to get past. Mitch would have to have a mistake, I think. And yep, the gap is just starting to form now, as Baker, I think now is the time to go into the pits.
I agree. Now I agree.
Diego is a commanding lead right now at 3.8 seconds. I think Diego is in the best spot right now to win the race. But again, we don't know what the tire wear of those hards will be at the end of the race.
I think they'll go to the end.
They'll go to the end, but how much tire wear is he going to have? And is somebody behind him going to be on a... You think it's not going to be that bad? I think it's going to be at least 50.
No, it'll be quite bad, but it won't be as bad as an example for him as it will be for, I don't know, Fenrique or Mitch, as they won't necessarily be as clean air. The clean air will definitely help. So I do believe Diego will be able to go to the end. I think it's more of a question of Fenrique and Mitch are able to go to the end, and if Flip-Flop is able to gain those 12 seconds back, Diego now goes quickest on the hard, so 1:47.3.
I would like
Mitch now goes quickest.
I would like to mention, I got a comment from Yosemite Flying, and he says he was squeezed by Chuckle on the start-finish line under safety car. That is his comment on the incident. Again, we didn't watch it, so that's the only information I have at the moment. And it said you couldn't see too much on the stream what exactly had happened. I think the stream might have gone offline. I'm not too sure. But at the moment, that is the comment from Yosemite Flying about that situation of Chuckle. Again, we'll see after the race what exactly happened. But Diego right now is leading this race. I'd like to mention Baker has not actually dropped too far back from Mitch. So Mitch and Baker are still relatively same pace, which is actually surprising. Baker is still out, though. So, again, I'm not necessarily thinking this is the best decision right now to be staying out this long on those hard tires. He does have to make a pit stop. You know, even if you start on the harder compound tire, you still have to go onto another one, even if it is the softs, which I think, of course, I think that's what Baker wants to do. I think he wants to finish on the softs. But I don't know if this is necessarily the best strategy.
He'll come out behind Darkfa, which isn't bad on the softs. At least he might be able to gain time on Darkfa and then be able to overtake through the field on softs while everybody's on very worn tires. A Flip-Flop is definitely in a good position, in my opinion, to at least get a podium here today. As he's now actually gaining on Fenrique, only about 1.2 seconds between them. I don't believe there's going to be a fight again between Mitch and Baker. I think the top two might be settled, but I think Flip-Flop can definitely get that third podium spot today.
And Scar Logan's out. Something happened. The safety car deploy, and Scar Logan crashed in the middle of the track. Same place as his teammate, and now there's a full safety car. Both Renaults out of the race.
That helps Baker.
And Fenrique goes into the pits. Baker. Oh no, Baker. This is terrible for Baker. This is now Baker and now
drive-through penalty.
And this has ruined Baker. I think this is it for Baker. This ruins Baker's race.
Fenrique onto the softs. Yeah, definitely. Darkfa is going to be onto the softs. Oh, Fenrique got held by Darkfa as Darkfa now comes into the pits and will most likely be putting on the softs again. No, puts on the medium tires. Nathan de Villiers is out.
Nathan de Villiers out of the race. What happened there?
On the start-finish straight. I have no idea.
Oh dear. Nathan de Villiers is out of the race.
Only 8 people will score points. Very unlike him. Jonathan Cox into the pits, puts on mediums. Chukale into the pits. That's a drive-through. Right? That is the drive-thru.
Yes, that is the drive-thru.
Oh,
no, it has not been served yet. And it's on softs right now for Chuck, but Chuck will have to come in again for a drive-through penalty, speeding under the safety car. Still gets points.
He still gets points.
He still gets points. We're guaranteed points a while ago. This has been this safety car was the worst possibly time for him, as his race is now officially over.
No, not necessarily. It was the worst time, but if it would have been a few seconds earlier, it would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect, but it wasn't. So at the moment, I think his race is pretty much just about done in terms of trying to get into the top three. And now they are still quite a far ways away right now. They haven't caught up to the safety car.
Is the favorite to win. I think that Flip-Flop is now the favorite to win. 3-lap-old mediums against 9-lap-old hards and mediums on Mitch and Diego. And Baker as well.
Diego has the hards on.
Chukale gets another drive-through.
Wow, that's 2 of them. And he just crashes under the safety car. He just decided to...
The top 3 are pitting. The top 3 are pitting. All of the top 3 are pitting. Flip-Flop will take the lead.
Wow, big scenes here. But Chuck crashed under the safety car deliberately. He just got another one and said, forget it. Now, I don't know if that extends the safety car, but At the moment, we're under safety car. It's lap number
I don't
13.
believe so.
All 3 drivers in the top 3, and Flip-Flop goes in.
Flip-Flop is first.
Fenrique, where will he end
Diego,
up?
mediums for Mitch, mediums for Baker. Baker emerges in 4th. This isn't actually bad for him now. Just because of the top 2 also pitting, this isn't bad for him.
Fenrique still in 5th.
Dark for pits.
So
Again.
Baker somehow, so Baker's actually in a very good position. Dark.
No, I think Dark was putting on softs.
Yeah, he is.
No, Dark was putting on softs.
Put on soft tires. Jonathan Cox will pass Dark.
Cox is on mediums. Yes, he'll pass Dark from.
So Flip-Flop Fish has found himself in the lead of the race again.
We've after cutting the grid in half.
So Belgium is not being nice to everybody, it seems.
But to be fair, now we did call that at least one person is going to spin off Radion, which did happen, and it was Gurman in the Ferrari. I think chaos is the correct word to describe this, because now Flip-Flop is in a bad position because his tires are now 4 laps old, when Diego's, Mitch's and Baker's are now fresh. Fenrique is on fresh softs, only 1 lap old. I think it's anybody's race, honestly.
I mean, this race has been blown wide open due to that safety car. Nathan De Villers is out. I have no idea what happened. It wasn't necessarily an area where you'd expect to crash, because there's no walls over there.
No, but he did crash near the pit entry.
So
it was like right next to the pit entry of.
It's still a very odd retirement.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly check who actually how did all these retirements happen? Were these just terminal damage? Terminal damage, terminal damage, terminal damage, terminal damage. Yes, they were all terminal damage. How interesting. Safety car in this lap.
So not a super long safety car. In this lap, Flip-Flop Fish again is going to be the pace setter. Warming up his tires, trying to keep them nice, hot, and sticky. Diego behind him, doing the same. Mitch 791 is on the podium again. What another great podium would be for Mitch in the McLaren. Has had a very good season in his first season in WSR. Baker is doing very well as well in 4th and was not screwed over by the safety car. It has worked out for him. Now Flip-Flop Fish speeding up again. Here we go. Restart going. It's very good for Flip-Flop Fish under safety car when you're coming through that bus stop. And yes, he's gotten a good jump on Diego. Mitch 791 is in a much better position right now for possibly an overtake. Diego now coming in the turn 1 actually gets close to Flip-Flop Fish. This is going to be interesting on the Campbell Straight. Mitch 791 also chasing. LSF1 Baker is behind. Fenrique behind him. Jonathan Cox. They're all separated by about the same relative gap. Now here coming out of Radion, and it's a much better run for Flip-Flop Fish. Mitch 791 in the slipstream, 4/10 behind Diego, and will be gaining on him down the Camel Straight, but not close enough for an overtake. Looking down at Fenrique behind Baker, not close enough for an overtake there. Now Dark actually has passed Jonathan Cox. Jonathan Cox did not have a good run out of Radion. He's been passed by Dark Fence, and he's back in the last place right now on the grid. There's a lockup from Baker, Fenrique behind him, and that's again, Baker has consistently been locking up into that corner, and Baker is ruining the tire life of those tires even more so, but they are quite new, of course, under pit stop, but locking up is not going to help you. Of course, Fenrique is going to be a lot faster on the softs right now.
But it's more of an issue just trying to navigate your way through the traffic. There's only a few places really to overtake around this track, and that's mostly the Kemmel Straight and the start-finish straight. Even though the start-finish straight, you really don't want to try and overtake, because you want to try and keep the momentum going up through Rouge and Radion to get as much as a slingshot as you can up through the Kemmel Straight to try and gain a gap.
Would you have gone on the softs for Diego? This do you think they could have lasted, or do you think they would have died at the end?
But considering it's only 1 lap old and it would have been lap 13 or 22, it's only 9 laps, I probably would have risked it.
I would have done the softs. I think the softs would have been a better choice. Because
there's also there's also the other side of it that maybe he didn't have a fresh set.
I also like to mention Darkva just went fastest somehow in the pit. And look at this. Baker and Fenrique are going side by side out of turn 1. Now Darkva is going to get into the mix as well. Just close to Baker right now. And it's very, very close between the drivers coming up Rouge to the top of Radion. And Fenrique gets a bad run, though, and Baker will get past, hopefully, on the camel straight for him. Here he comes. DRS activated, not yet, because they haven't gone to a third lap yet. And here we go. Coming down the camel straight on the inside is going to be Fenrique. And now Fenrique does get past Baker. But now Baker on the switchback. And, oh, he pushed him almost wide a little bit there. Baker and Darkva made contact, I believe, a little bit. Now Jonathan Cox is going to get into the mix as well.
Big lockup.
Same lockup place for Baker. Oh, Fenrique no with the lockup. And, oh, he hit the wall on the exit. He didn't get front wing damage, though, but very, very close.
Gap is down between the top two as well, as they've just exited Pouan into now the chicanes as they now come in towards turn 15, I believe. No, turn 14, I believe it is, as they come into the second sector split. Remember that anybody who sets the fastest lap out of these 7 drivers will get an additional point, so you also have to take that into account. But I highly doubt that's the first thing on their mind. It isn't the first thing on my mind, but it's interesting to note that they will get an additional point, as Diego is still trying to gain on Flip-Flop. Will he try and make a move onto the bus stop? I doubt it, but you never know.
It's a little bit too, he looks on the inside,
bit too far away.
Yeah, a bit too far back, but he will definitely be in contention on the camel straight. DRS will be activated this lap. Flip-Flop Fish trying to break the slipstream. DRS activated. Coming in the turn 1. He'll come up to the camel straight. You will have DRS there, and surely there will be at least a challenge from Diego unless he has a bad run.
Mitch will also have DRS. Mitch will have DRS as well.
Fenrique is out of DRS. LSF1 Baker will have it. So will Darkva, and so will Jonathan Cox. Coming out of Radion, a better run actually for Flip-Flop Fish. Diego is still 4/10 behind on the camel straight. DRS activated. Let's see if he'll get close enough for an overtake. Coming, looking on the inside, no. Darkva also not close enough.
Curb a bit there from Diego. Mitch wasn't close enough either. Baker wasn't close enough. Darkva wasn't close enough. And Jonathan definitely wasn't close enough. There seems to be 2 different fights going on. One between the 3 podium sitters and the other one between the bottom 4. As it's a 4-horse race for 4th and a 3-horse race for the 1st, 2nd and 3rd. It's going to get interesting. I don't think Fenrique is actually liking those softs too much. I do believe that the reason behind Diego and Mitch not going after the softs might have been that they didn't have a fresh set left. Jonathan's hits the wall, I think.
I think Jonathan did hit the wall, and yep, there's front wing damage on the car.
Yeah, front wing damage. He'll be going for fastest lap then. Wouldn't put it past him. Diego is now trying to gain on Flip-Flop still. This is now a 3-horse race for 4th and a 3-horse race for 1st. There's a bit of a gap now forming behind Diego to Mitch, as I do believe Diego and Flip-Flop are now the 2 people just trying to gain and gain and gain on each other. As Diego is now looking again at the bus stop chicane as he comes into the final corner, tries to get the best exit possible to get a bit of DRS to try and gain on Flip-Flop so he can be as close as possible as they approach the camel straight. Fenrique goes quickest with a 1:46.250. Jonathan Cox is into the bits, as we watch Diego, he will be approaching Rouge and Radion as he tries to get as best line as possible down the camel straight.
Bad exit out of Diego, actually, I think, as Flip-Flop Fish again with the better exit. Mitch 791 also chasing. Diego is chasing down Flip-Flop Fish. I don't think, he will not be close enough.
Might have a mood on Baker.
Looking, Darkva side by side of Baker around the outside, and it's a great move around the outside into Lacombe.
Into turn 15, into Lacombe. Diego now with Flip-Flop Fish. I wouldn't expect any overtakes around this area of the track, especially being so close to Pouan, which is danger zone central. It looks like Flip-Flop may have had a bad exit up there, but it looks like Flip-Flop is just keeping ahead. I just think he just has more heat in his tires at the moment, which is definitely helping him. His tires aren't that old, only 8 laps, and there isn't much deg. There's only 5 laps left to go now. Jonathan Cox will most likely get the fastest lap, as he is on fresh softs after suffering from front wing damage, as it's now a 3-horse race still for 1st and a 3-horse race for 4th. It will be close down to the final lap, I think, but it looks like Diego and Flip Flop are definitely the favourites to take the win, as Fenrique is now is hovering within DRS range of Mitch, but he just has to hurry up a bit, as Jonathan's gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings corner cutting.
Diego is closer than he was last race. Last lap, Diego was a lot farther away. He's much closer now to Flip Flop Fish, but he has to get a better run. And ooh, that was very, very close. Diego very late on the brakes.
Darkfa goes quickest.
Darkfa quickest again. That's the second quickest lap within 3 laps. And here we go, up towards Radion, coming to Throw Rouge. Here we go, through Radion now. Who gets the better exit?
For him this time.
Better exit for Diego this time. 4/10 away in the slipstream. DRS activated. Let's see what's going to happen here. He's going to try to possibly look on. No, he's a little bit too far back. But Fenrique riding the curb a lot. Very, very close to Flip Flop Fish.
Diego just has to perfect getting up our Rouge and Radion in order to get close enough to Flip Flop Fish. If he slips up at all, he won't be able to make the overtake, as the gaps are now extending between Fenrique, Darkva and Baker, as it looks like Fenrique has 4th to lose. He's trying to gain on Mitch, actually. He's nearly within DRS, but not close enough, as Mitch has a brilliant view of the battle up ahead of him, as he's probably just eating popcorn behind the wheel, as Diego is still trying to make the move on the flip-flop Fish into Stavelot of turn 14, as they come into the 3rd sector, into as they approach Blanchimont now, which is
getting very, very close. He might make an overtake here. He's getting close to Flip Flop Fish, looking around the outside. Now into the bus stop. Here we go, side by side into the bus stop. Flip Flop Fish and Diego for the lead of the race. Very, very close. But Flip Flop Fish edging him now. Mitch 791 getting into the mix of it as well. Just watching, salivating right now as he's trying to get him moving. Here we go. Diego on the inside, possibly in the turn 1. No. But now, coming to the bottom of the Rouge through Radion, this will be close. Will be close enough, though. Now Diego has to get a good run out of Radion. Here we go. Through Rouge, up Radion, who gets the better run. And it is Diego who gets the better run. And now, with DRS, Flip Flop Fish can do nothing. It's inevitable. It's a pass by Diego. Will he get it around the outside? Mitch 791. No, Mitch doesn't make it, but Flip Flop Fish gets passed by Diego, and Diego into the lead of the race.
They're all within a second of each other at the moment. Well, close enough to a second at least. As now Mitchell will be trying to gain on Flip Flop, as Flip Flop will still be trying to gain on Diego. Flip Flop Fish still with the oldest tires in the bunch, nearly 10 laps old now. Mitch is now outside the 6/10 of Flip Flop Fish. He just loses so much time through the slow sectors when the 2 drivers ahead of him just seem to be able to keep close to each other. There's now a 6.5 gap between Diego and Flip Flop Fish in 1st and 2nd place. Still no fastest lap from Jonathan Cox yet. This fastest lap still stands with Darkva. So Darkva will be getting 11 points
and
instead of the usual 10.
And he's not getting it with lines like that around the track, because Jonathan Cox not looking too great right now, sitting at the bottom of the track. Of course, he will score points regardless, so it's a good state of affairs anyway. Diego now going to be starting lap 20, as he is 7/10 ahead of Flip Flop Fish. I think finally Diego is able to unleash himself and try to get a gap to Flip Flop Fish, as clearly Flip Flop Fish now dealing with the tire deg issues.
Diego goes quickest.
Diego goes quickest. I don't think Jonathan Cox is gonna be going quicker than Diego. Now, coming up on lap 20 of 22, Flip Flop Fish is back by about 7/10 of a second.
Mitch is too far back as well.
Diego would have to have a bad run out of here for even a slight thought, and he didn't get a good run, but it's still a bit too far back. Now he's gonna drop back a little bit, and Flip Flop Fish will get close, but he definitely won't be making an overtake into the turn in the Lacombe. Mitch 791, way too far back though to be making a move. And Fenrique gets a big, caught that. Fenrique with a tank slapper out of the turn. Darkva though, not able to really capitalize, 2.2 seconds behind. But Fenrique actually is gaining on Mitch 791, so Mitch 791 must have problems of his own.
I think Mitch just might have cold tires just due to the safety car.
Diego.
I think he's just having a hard time on those mediums after pitting. Flip Flop is still tires is now 11 laps, so it will be 12 laps going on to lap 21. Diego's will only be 8 laps old.
And if you notice right there, the gap is gaining a big time. Diego on Flip Flop Fish, so clearly, at least in my opinion, Flip Flop Fish with the much better tire. With Diego with the much better tire right now than Flip Flop Fish. And also, I don't think the dirty air is helping anybody at all. As Flip Flop Fish trailing Diego right now. Diego looking for a third race win in a row. Absolutely amazing. Well, now second in a race.
Sorry. Second in the last 3 races he didn't appear for. In the races he appeared, it's his second in a row, but it's 2 wins in. It'll be 2 wins in a row now, and it'll be his 3rd win overall in the last 4 races if he wins today.
So Diego making a charge in the championship, obviously out of points contention, but Diego looking to see how high he can get up as Diego leads the way right now ahead of Flip Flop Fish, lap 21 of 22. Flip Flop Fish did get a better run at Radion, and now coming into the end of the first sector, and Flip Flop Fish is 2 tenths behind. Interference on your end of the mic.
Oh, I apologize. I was just having a look at the results there as you were saying that. Diego is not yet a contention just yet, actually. But Flip Flop will have to have a few blunder races and maybe not even appear for a few races, which definitely isn't going to happen. So yeah, he more or less is, but mathematically he still isn't. Diego has 50 points to the championship. The Flip Flop Fish, I'm not entirely sure how much he has. I think it's about 170, I think. 166 points in the championship. Sweetgrass 1920 with 126 behind him. As we're now into round. What round is this? Is this round 9? No, round 10 of 14, I believe.
16.
No, of 16. Round 10 of 16. Only 6 rounds to go now. 6 rounds to go after this one.
And it's
next
the top
race
4.
Will be Canada.
The top 4 who are separated by almost nothing. Mitch 791 trying to chase down Flip Flop Fish. Flip Flop Fish trying to chase down Diego as we enter the final lap of this race. Diego has had an absolutely fantastic race. Now, are there any penalties we have to contend with the top 4, or is everybody pretty much all set?
Oh, I think everybody's all set. I haven't seen anybody for the top 4 anyway. I don't think.
Most of the drivers who did have penalties, they are out of this race. It's been a crazy race. Most of the drivers retired, but Diego.
What position? Who's the top 4 again?
Diego, Flip Flop, Fish, Mitch 791, and Fenrique.
Fenrique has a 3-second.
All right. So, but Darkfa's too far back to be in contention.
Fenrique has 6 seconds.
Oh, he does? So Darkfa is in contention unless Darkfa has penalties of his own.
Darkfa has penalties of his own, though.
Okay. All right.
Diego has a warning. Flip Flop, of course, doesn't have any penalties. He never gets penalties. 9 seconds for Fenrique.
And Mitch is all good to go?
12 seconds for Fenrique. And Mitch is all good as well. The top 3 is battle for track. Fenrique might lose the position to Darkfa. I think he might have 12 when Darkfa only has 6. So there might be a bit of a shuffle between 4th and 5th.
We shall see.
And I think Darkfa might lose the position to Baker because I don't think Baker has any penalties.
As here we go, Diego coming around the final few turns, coming up towards the bus stop chicane. It's been an amazing race for Diego. It's been a crazy race overall. The brakes glow hot for Diego, but here he comes around the final turn, and he will win the Belgium Grand Prix ahead of Flip Flop Fish. Diego will finish in first, Flip Flop Fish in second. Mitch on the podium. Fenrique is in 4th at the moment, and Darkfa will jump Fenrique.
Does jump.
Baker will finish in 6th position, and Jonathan Cox behind. And Diego is your race winner in the Belgium Grand Prix. Somebody left. It was Used to Be Flying who was host. And he finally left the session watching the race till the end. Diego, race winner again. And a very, very fantastic race for him.
Last 4. He's won 3 of the last 4 races.
I'll just mute Mike. Mute Mike. Apologies for the background noise, ladies and gentlemen. Diego wins the Grand Prix. He is in first position, and another win for him. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name is WSRX.
My name has been Official Sully.
And you've been watching Worldwide Sim Racing. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure to join us next week for the Canadian Grand Prix. Thank you all, and have yourselves a wonderful night.
Thank you.